All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree East 5th next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get on board.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
It's a very special conversation today as we talk about the city of Corry and significant investments in high tech in Corry. And with us is here in studio Dr. Matthew Platz of Corry Higher Ed and Chuck Gray on the Zoom from Impact Corry. Hello.
Hello, Joel and Shane. How are you today?
Hello.
We're doing great. Chuck, let's go to you. How are things on the Impact Corry side? It's been a while since we've gotten an update, and I know you've been kind of really zooming in trying to get some of these strategic initiatives going. So first off, what's it been like the last several months here?
Last several months, I have learned more about the law than anyone should know.
The
law. Apparently, you need to really make certain everything's covered if you're building a fiber network in a rural community as a nonprofit. Our connectivity is one of the 5 goals of our Corry Community Strategic Plan. And the first phase of that is universal gig fiber coverage throughout the city of Corry. Actually, the design goes outside the borders of Corry as well, so we're already starting outward. Our next step will be getting coverage throughout the school district, as well as working with Union City to help them advance their high speed over there. The great thing is we've raised $2.9 million. We are in the final phases of our request for proposals being approved by the funders. As soon as we get those thumbs up, that request for proposals goes out. And hopefully 30 days later, we have our choice of providers who will create this new network and put it in place and start providing fiber to our community. We're also working with Michael Baker International. It's right in their name. They're an amazingly large and professional company. They are working as project managers for the complete project to make certain the network design, the speed of delivery, network delivery, and everything else is handled correctly, and we all come out at the right place at the end. And then we throw a celebration, and maybe it should be virtual.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let me get back a little more foundationally. This idea of a universal gigabyte connection for all of Corry, that would make the Corry region have the fastest internet in Erie County and maybe in all of Northwest PA, correct?
Erie has areas of fiber. I know that VNet's been putting in, but we would be the rural.
But can you get a gig?
Of choice.
Can you get a gig in Erie?
I haven't checked, but our
maybe
delivery,
you can, you know.
Our delivery has to be, our system design is such that a gig has to be able to be delivered to each place, plus some of the fiber remaining dark for future growth, or I'm sorry, but as things advance, broadband needs are only going to get faster. You know, the gaming will be faster, the
Right.
creative suites will be faster, so you'll need more and more. And I really, and foundationally, when we did the Corry Community Strategic Plan, we started that in 2020, finished that in 2021. It became clear to us that unless we shifted the economic base of our community in such a way that we could compete in the upcoming digital economy or fourth industrial revolution economy, we needed to have our share of this work. And I think it was encapsulated well by a quote from Charles Bukey, which I'm going to paraphrase because it isn't right in front of me. But without end-to-end high-speed fiber, no, he said, with end-to-end high-speed fiber in Corry, Corry has a chance to succeed. Without it, you are only managing decline.
Wow.
And it's true. Anymore, when you're deciding where you're going to live, why would you pick a place without high speed? It is considered another utility now. And we also felt that just having the fiber wasn't enough. The attractiveness of people being drawn to our area was great, but we wanted to do something productive with the fiber to truly help our community. So what we're looking at is, number one, small communities like ours with fiber get approached for testings of new products. One company has gotten in touch with us. They have kind of a radio frequency bubble that they've built that they want to test and get funding for, but they have to test it in a small community. It would make access free within that bubble, but it requires a fiber network underlying it, right? Also, our manufacturers, like maybe company X doesn't have full-time needs for a person who can program their robotics, nor company B or C. But if we have a data center in Corry and this high-speed fiber, one worker could be shared, could code robots for all of those and problem solved. We have downtown businesses paying over $300 a month for connectivity who pray when they put the credit cards through. And one just recently told me she had to switch to QuickBooks on her computer because the speeds were so low that QuickBooks Online wouldn't work. So we knew we needed to change that. And then we also needed to change the paradigm. Right now, we felt that our best way to enter the digital economy was to become a workforce pipeline. So, and that's where Matt takes over. I'm just the plumber.
Yeah.
Right?
Infrastructure, right?
Right.
You got to have that.
That makes me sound classier.
Yeah.
So we're the infrastructure, but the thing is, our long-term goal is a whole life, cradle to grave, educational access to being part of the digital economy. And then I'll let Matt take it for what he's doing. He's been doing some exciting things in preparation for this.
Before you jump in, I want to ask you about is one of the end goals to be a destination for remote working?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. The answer to that is yes. I've listened to your show. I'm a faithful listener.
Yeah.
You've asked quite a few times, and different guests that have come in. We have a population issue, right?
Right.
There are different ways to solve that. Refugees, people coming in. The other way to solve that is to get remote workers attracted to our area. So that is a very important thing that we are working on. And that goes to a lot of what Chuck is working on. Otherwise, all of the 5 goals that they have over at Impact Corry. We can't just have internet that's fast. We can't just have a job. To be attractive, there has to be a lot of other things to do.
Sure.
Cities.
And you could really, I mean, a community like Corry that's super intentional could really create a vibe, a culture that could lean itself toward, that young millennial or young Zer remote worker, right? I mean,
there are communities all across the United States that are a little bit ahead of us. They're doing a great job. They're attracting younger people to stay.
well, we're hearing about Tulsa. I mean, that's a big city, mind you. But.
Right, and they have a program, Tulsa Remote,
Right.
that it's doing wonderful things, and we've heard about that and the ideas behind.
But why
it.
not Corry?
Why not Corry? Corry's a
Right.
great place to live. It's very cozy. There's great homes there. People are working
it's
on.
affordable. It's accessible to major markets.
Sure.
I'm doing your Chamber of Commerce work for you.
You
But you
got
know
it.
what? I'm totally getting it. You know.
Yeah, we're accessible to Erie. It's right there. I drive down every day.
Yeah.
So
And when Corry was created, it literally happened because railroad lines crossed. That was the speed of business. That's fallen away. Fiber optics are the new speed of business. So we're again becoming an inland place where all these basically entrepreneurial instincts collide.
Yeah.
So I really feel that this is our railroad tracks for the future, and it is our way of saying that we're going to continue to be relevant and we're going to continue to be attractive. And I get it. I had my years where I wanted to live urban, but now I want to live rural. So, but I don't want to be cut off from the world, and this is a way to make that happen.
So tell me the connection then with the piece that you offer, Matt, with Corry Higher Ed.
So when I got to Corry, almost 2 years ago now, there was a project that Chuck and my predecessor had been working on. It's called Catch. It is in the Infinite Erie playbook. It is designed to provide the talent pipelines that Chuck mentioned earlier, using that end-to-end fiber as a resource to provide different types of training. So a lot of the work that had been done prior to me getting there kind of built where we are now. And there are certain areas that we've kind of identified that are important to this area. And 3 of them were already in place. We had coding, cybersecurity, and fiber installation. Our goal was not to compete with the colleges and universities that are doing a great job here in Erie. There's no reason for us to do that. But we had an understanding from the get-go that Corry is a distressed area.
Okay.
They're experiencing a lot of the same things that you see in inner cities. Generational poverty is major. The median household income in Corry is $47,000.
So it's even lower than the rest of the county.
Right,
basically.
right. So it is a distressed area. So people don't see a way out. And our thought is that we would provide training in areas that are a lot lower cost. Certificate programs are starting to become more readily available. Our thought is we could provide 1 to 2 year training curriculums that would allow people to get started using funding mechanisms so that training can be free to them.
Wow.
Because we have chosen high priority occupations. So there is funding available from the federal government down to the state to be able to get people into this training. So removing the barriers to educational access is a huge portion of what this project does. Catch is a building. And a building can do a lot of things. We're excited about that and the funding that we can talk about after we get done with the fiber.
Yeah.
But we are very close to completing the capital stack for the Catch facility and providing a training space that it's high tech. It's kind of cool, and will want people will want to come and get trained there in certificate programs. We are looking at the possibility of, at the end of all that, we have been working on the idea of a pipeline where we get the interest of high school students early on. We get them to pay attention to a certain type of career option. We get them the training right in our facility. And then at the end, and this is the thing that colleges haven't been doing, their career services, I think maybe they'll start to get to this point.
Yeah.
But working with employers who say, if you do this, we have a remote job for you available at the end. And this is something that we are very close on. I know it seems kind of, when I first got there, I thought, Chuck, I don't even know how we're going to get this going. But we are,
I saw that look on your face back then.
but we are having conversations with people, and it it blows my mind, the people who have come to the table. We got invited to Hermitage, down to the Pennsylvania Cybersecurity Center. I feel very blessed to have gotten that invite. The new executive director, Brad Kalasia, called me and said, we'd like you to come down. The White House's cybersecurity director is coming down for a visit. We know what you're working on, and we want to be a partner with you. We got the opportunity to speak to Director Coker directly about what we're working on. They are super excited about it, up to the point where, and I can't say for sure that they're coming, and I would never tell your audience that they are, but they are seriously considering it. If they can fit it into their schedule with everything that's going on, we may get a visit at some point. And those types of remote jobs, it's just, it blows my mind that we've come this far in the short amount of time that I've been there, 2 years.
I'm hoping that these alignments we're experiencing where people want to know more about our project, I think they were baked in. We studied everything from Chattanooga, their model of gig fiber, to a one traffic light town that went from abject poverty to people being Apple geniuses.
Where is that at?
I think I'll send you the New Yorker article. I think it's Kentucky.
Okay.
It was been a few years since I've read it, but it was a great, compelling story. Up in Vermont, they've been doing this. We studied everything across the nation. Then we also got in touch both locally, regionally, and statewide about priorities. What we've chosen to teach is not by accident. These are identified in the Garner report from the chamber. These are statewide goals. These are high priority occupations. We're serving a need that exists for regional employers. And I like it because since it's a certificate program, number one, kids can go off to college. They could leave this program, and our goal is they step into a 50K or above job a year. Or they could go to college, become the coder could become a systems administrator and go into 120 a year. So the fact that we can switch as the marketplace changes. So if one of our industry partners all of a sudden has a new need for the digital economy, we can tool up curriculum and get that going. And also, I'd love Matt to share too, we have an asset down here that was on the chopping block, our airport. We've done a new community, a business plan, strategic business plan for that. And it's projected to carry its own weight within 7 to 10 years, which is a big ask for an airport, but it's only because of what this training offers. And I'll let Matt talk about that.
Go ahead, Matt.
Sure. Some people don't know that we have a regional airport in Corry. And Chuck has been working in that space for a long time to get people to recognize that. And we have industries that have remained in Corry simply because that asset stayed put. And we are trying to, again, fill the spaces in education where there are problems. And you have a lot of folks on your show here that talk about pilot shortages. And the reason that we cannot get more flights out of Erie and the things that they're experiencing, up to and including airplane mechanics, which is something else we're looking at. Not quite there with that yet. But
now that would be amazing, right? To build a facility to teach mechanics.
Well, we actually have an educational partner that is starting to work on that.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Wow.
and NPRC is starting to work on that. I actually serve on their advisory committee, and it has been brought up at almost every meeting.
Seriously?
Yeah. So, they try to respond to that as well. The industry needs, what do you need? They're trying to respond and say, we can provide that education.
Wow.
So I have had discussions with all of the flight school operators in this area. Dave Benson over at Fundamentals, Dave Hines up at in Jamestown. And we're trying to put together this plan that we will introduce the possibility of taking aviation training in your final 2 years of high school. So you can get to the point where you are knocking out a lot of the training hours that are required towards moving towards your private pilot certification. People call it a license. I've learned that it's actually a certification. But yeah, we're at the point where we can work with the high schools, and not just the Corry area school district, but other ones, to potentially get students in and interested in this field, and knock out a lot of their time before they graduate.
Again, when we talk, let's say to Dr. Gray at the EC3, we're talking about that traditional community college, are 27, 28, 29 years old.
Sure.
You're taking a different approach of saying, I got to get to these kids at 16, 15, maybe even 14.
It is,
and that goes right with Erie. I'm putting all these things together. Erie Together's career pathways. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, we have some synergy in an ecosystem going on here.
Absolutely. We are not forgetting the people who may want to reskill or upskill from their positions that they've had. That will always still be available to the people that want to come in. If you want to learn cybersecurity and get a certificate in that, and you've been working in manufacturing for the last 10 years, we can still do that. That's not off the table.
That almost should be like a requirement of any firm, 5 people or more. Somebody needs to be certified in cybersecurity, or else you're going to lose the store.
We say that all the time. The small firms, people don't know this.
Talk to Joel Duderman. He'll be a huge advocate of that, right?
Like, I'm the executive director of a very small nonprofit.
Yeah.
You know who at the end of the day is responsible for our cybersecurity and our customers' information? Me.
Yeah.
So that is,
I hear
people
ya.
should be kind of up to speed on cybersecurity, and we have low cost options for people to kind of get caught up. So that's one piece. Oh, go ahead.
I love the way this is splitting out, and I have to give a shout out to Brian Slaywin, because he brought this to the table early on when we were doing the business plan for the airport. But the school district's Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association has an established curriculum. They can do theory in the schools. They can do the simulator work at Matt's establishment, and they can do their time in the air at the Corry Airport. And because the need, what is a projected 30-year deficit of pilots, because it's so big that the airlines have waived the 4-year degree, so they could come out of high school with their private certification.
Quickfill gasoline is made right here in America. United Refining Company, who operates Quickfill, refines its gasoline from North American crude oil in Warren, Pennsylvania. When you buy United Refining Company gasoline at Quickfill, you keep jobs and businesses in America, and you keep American families strong. You don't need to send your money overseas when you buy gasoline. Buy American-made gasoline at Quickfill. Quickfill, driving America.
From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
Corry, Pennsylvania is our focus here in this. I keep on writing it down. This incredible infrastructure or ecosystem that is coming together to have high tech and train and have this available to be kind of. It's almost like a key to unlock the possibilities. Chuck Gray is with us from Impact Corry. Dr. Matthew Platz. Oh my gosh.
You had it right the first
Platz.
time. Yeah.
Oh my word. You see, if I don't have the paper in front of me, Matt, he's from the Corry Higher Ed. Chuck, I want to go to you because I think it's important that people understand how this capital stack, because you're making a huge bet. It's how big is the price tag for this catch and for the gigabyte connection here?
The gigabyte, the network is 2.9 million. Matt, is the most recent for catch 7.5?
7.5, yes, including some of the fiber project, but closer to 5.5 without it.
So how do you put this all together? I mean, I'm especially interested in what kind of public funding and who's your advocate on all this.
We started with, believe it or not, NAP tax credit dollars. And we were honored that Erie Insurance gave their first NAP tax credits outside the city of Erie for this project.
So what is this again?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
NAP tax credits. It's a neighborhood assistance program through the DCED. And what it is basically people donate to you and they get a percentage of tax credits back that they can send to the state. So they're basically saying, I'm going to spend the money, but rather than sending it to the state in my taxes, I'm going to keep it right here in my community and pay for a project I believe in.
Kind of like an educational tax credit, right? I mean,
exactly. And they've upped them now. The percentages are really conducive for people to invest their tax dollars locally.
Kind of sounds like you have your own Criz going on down there.
I would compare.
And you know what? We are too small for a Criz. We don't have the population mass or opportunity zone, but this is kind of threading the line between those. It's really helping us. But you've got to get out there. You've got to know the businesses. They've got to believe in what you're doing and have the liquidity and the tax burden to participate. So we were very fortunate that a bunch of local companies gave because this was important. And that pool started out about 140,000. The Erie County RDA came in for 185,000 to help us get this project done.
That's Tina's? Is that?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Tina Menji. Yep. Okay. And we got 500,000 through ARPA funds. And it was funny. A community was I'm going to say luck and persistence is how we did it.
Yeah.
500,000 was committed to another project, but remember the first ARPA had that really fast spend or lose? So they were going to have to return their funds. I heard that rumor and I called the county and said, I can spend it.
So this is on the first tranche. You got 500K?
The first tranche. So 500K.
From Kathy Dahlkemper? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so Kathy said, send me a proposal. That went through all the channels. We were awarded it. And right after I said that out loud, I found out there was a major, because I had this dream, right? Okay, that's how much I think about this work. I had this dream. I can't put in a fiber network in time, but I could take our fiber network design and buy all the fiber in time, right?
So you were buying the physical, the physical stuff.
And then I find out that there's
to be determined. Yeah, go ahead.
A national fiber shortage.
Oh, gee. Of course there is. Yeah.
So
because there's nobody to work at the fiber plant,
No, and I am calling anybody who works at Corning, anybody. And then 2 companies came through for us and pulled it together and delivered before the end of December, and we spent that money. So then we have that also as our capital stack. We received $875,000 from Appalachian Regional Commission Power Grant. We received another $250,000 in GAP funding from the county.
And that would be
from Erie County.
From the Davis administration, right? 250?
That first was awarded under Kathy Dahlkemper.
Okay, so there was GAP money in the first tranche as well, I guess. That
yes,
sounds like.
Yes.
Got it.
And then I'm trying to think who am I missing? We had one anonymous donor for $30,000. Just checks appear, but essentially. Nice. It has been and
you're bearing the lead here, Chuck, a little bit.
Oh yeah, I forgot. And on October 25th,
there it is.
At 11 a.m., we'll have a press conference at the High Ed. Another portion of that funding was appropriations funding, and Representative Kelly went to the mat for us with that.
So that's going to be the federal layer, huh?
That's another federal layer. So we already have the 875 from ARC.
Yeah.
This is 500,000, and that's being processed through USDA Reconnect funds.
Now this is interesting. USDA, the Department of Agriculture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know they swam in high tech.
Yeah, they have a connectivity project for rural communities.
Okay.
And then I do have to give a shout out too. This is one of the stumbling blocks for small communities trying to pull off projects like this. a lot of these grants are reimbursement. So I believe it or not, Impact Corry doesn't have $1 million sitting in a bank account waiting to be spent on this project and then wait for reimbursement. We applied to ECRA and we've been promised a $300,000 no interest revolving loan that we can, if we need to use it, we can keep the money flowing, keep the project on schedule, and wait for those reimbursements.
Kind of like a construction or bridge loan when you're building your house.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So that isn't money that is counted in the budget.
Right.
That's just, that comes in and goes back out.
Okay, so you haven't mentioned DCED. Is there a state level here?
DCED was the NAP tax credits.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it all started.
Yeah. And how much do you think you so you got about $140K from that, from the tax credit? Okay.
Yep.
So county.
County was $750.
Yeah.
Yep.
So state, county, feds, city of Corry. They have any cash?
Not in this project, no.
Okay.
They agreed. ARC Power, Appalachian Regional Commission. We have to, at that point in time, the rule was if you were doing a capital project and you were a nonprofit, you had to apply through a lead applicant who was a municipality. So they agreed to be our lead applicant. So they are a partner in this work.
Good.
And there's one other thing. Oh, I'm forgetting something.
Was RACP was at the bottom, wasn't it?
RACP, yes.
Okay.
We received.
So there's some DCED money too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we got. I am so grateful. We got 2.5 million.
Oh.
Thank you again, Erie County RDA, for when the budget itemization line, it's getting ready to be potentially awarded, and then the Office of the Budget calls and says, this itemization does not match well enough with your project. So thankfully, Michelle Brooks brought that to our attention. We called Tina and she allowed us to use an itemization from the county RDA. So they're our project applicant for that. And we were able to receive the 2.5 million, 500,000 of that is for the fiber node, literally just buying the equipment for the node and connecting to a tier 1 carrier is going to be about 500K.
So it really is instructive, don't you think, of that it when it comes to economic development and making the big plays, it really does take a village of these agencies, these departments, federal, state, local levels to say, let's work together to try to pull it off because, again, you guys don't have $2.5 million sitting in a kitty somewhere so you can build your fiber network.
Right.
No.
It is important. I cannot stress enough how important it is that everybody came to the table and said, let's get this done. The Mayor Baker from the city of Corry, County Executive Brenton Davis, he's coming down at the press conference as well. Everybody had a piece and a part of it, and it's everybody's success. So that's the exciting thing.
The other part that we need to make sure that we don't forget is for a lot of, especially for appropriation, it's extremely competitive.
Absolutely.
So this had to be a winner, A+ home run of an application, right?
Well, I'll tell you, Appalachian Regional Commission told us one of the reasons we got funded is we're doing something that they haven't seen yet. And they want it to be successful so it can be replicated in other areas throughout the Appalachian region that are struggling with some of the same issues. So a nonprofit literally owning a dark fiber network and leasing it to a provider who's also responsible for installing it is a new model. At least to their funding. And yes, I am a geek, if that's what you're getting at.
I'm not at all.
I read everything.
Yeah.
I take notes. I've got quotes. I mean, even from Rural Cooperative Annual Report, NTIA Annual Report, I've got all these facts and figures up there, and I love to tell a story with them. And also, it goes beyond grant writing. It's the advocacy we all do together. If the county chamber weren't saying, hey, this is important to us that Corry try this, who who knows if the state would say, hey, this is a good idea. Hey, they've
Right.
aligned, they're thinking about it. So even that work is done collaboratively. But yes, my head is a cesspool of facts that no one ever wants to listen
Well,
to.
and I find it so appropriate because when you consider that Northwest PA was the origination of the Rural Electric Co-op, this really comes, it's part of our heritage of saying, hey, we can't just leave rural communities out to fend for themselves. I do have to ask you a totally geek question, both of you guys. So when your provider is building this network within Corry, how do they connect to the backbone? Are there? No. I mean, how do you get to the big line?
There is a tier 1 carrier in Corry. Zito Media has a fiber loop in Corry.
Okay.
They provide static IPs to large bandwidth clients. So some of our manufacturers use them. Their model in the past, when we've been developing this, we reached out to everybody to understand what their business models were when we started this. They told us they had no interest in final mile provision of fiber. They are sticking with the large chunks monthly from these groups. But because
the hospital
of that,
or whatever.
Things where it's okay. No, I'll say it anyways. Like people who are going to pay $1,000 a month.
100%. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great business model, especially in a rural area where it's hard to make it pay. But because that fiber loop is here, that 500,000 goes for equipment at the node as well as connection either to that fiber node or a bidder could bring in their own if they want, but it's super expensive. Exactly what you're saying. It's super expensive, but it just so happens the fiber node is close to the high ed building where the Zito Media's loop passes.
Right.
And early on they said, hey, that's fine with us because if your carrier connects to our service, we sell them bandwidth. So they don't lose.
So more than likely, all of these little boroughs, and I shouldn't say little, I would imagine Girard has a tier 1, Edinburgh has a tier 1. I mean, when you think about a comprehensive Erie County gigabyte system, it's probably there would have to be duplications of what you guys are doing, but there's probably points of presence. Yeah. Again, I told you it was going to be a geeky question, but there's probably points of presence throughout the county.
And you know what? I didn't drill down. Erie COG under Michelle Jaggi did that survey. I didn't drill down on that point, but I'm certain we know exactly where those are. Yeah. And we also investigated something we're keeping on the back burner for further growth of the network. Once you get beyond like the population of the city of Corry out into the more rural areas, it doesn't pay for a company to build fiber there. Just doesn't.
Yeah.
So we've looked into what's called the 6320, and it's basically an opportunity zone for places that don't have the population. Mm-hmm. It is private money can invest in infrastructure. They get their investment back, usually 10 to 15 years, a little ROI. And they, at that point, the infrastructure that they funded reverts to their partner agency. And the lifespan of fiber is about 50 years. So even if it took 20 years to pay them off, we've got 30 years of fiber that private money just put out there. And that's the only way that we can make these numbers work, because that, and we're hoping our RFP for our system here is such that there's an annual payment that we're hoping to recycle into additional miles of fiber each year. More people served, go to the next. It's going to take some time. I hope not to be in the ground, but we're going to get it done.
All right, I got to bring this plane in for a landing part in the pun. Okay, I'm a young family. My kids are growing up in Corry. Why do I care about this part of the Infinite Erie playbook and what's happening in Corry, Matt?
Sure. So, kids, I'll start with the kids in kind of a joke. The Netflix will work. So it will work. There will be no buffering circles.
When they want to get on their Twitch and stream their
Xbox will
their
work
Xbox,
perfectly.
it'll be fine.
It will not glitch. They'll be able to play. So we joke about that, but that is important to people.
Sure, absolutely.
But go ahead. So
No.
Oh, okay. All right. So, how does it work? What do we do with it? So this infrastructure that Chuck has built the capital stack for, it provides the foundation for what we're doing in the catch facility. Bruce Katz came here. The Infinite Erie playbook got put together. There was a lot of discussion about how does this get done? Well, it's up to us. And and that is one of the things that when I started this job, I realized very quickly, Chuck's a great partner. She's done a lot, but she needs help. And so it was up to us to see where we were. Having a 2.5 million RACP as the basis of a potential project getting completed, my goodness, 2.5 million in Corry. Okay, so
absolutely
that gets the ball started. There was a grant that Chuck actually wrote that we're on the second or third cycle. It's been changed quite a bit, but a lot of her wording. Appalachian Regional Commission, Area Development, and the Erie Community Foundation are looking at funding us for equipment. So that would be $200,000. The state, with some of the ARPA money that needs to be spent, put together a program for community facilities. That was a request for $2 million. If we get that, we've got the RACP match, and we're on our way to getting this completed. So we're waiting for that. Funding decision will come in October. Hopefully, big announcement on the 25th on my show and other things. We're hopeful. We submitted the grant. People have taken a look at it that are influential in this space. They said it's very well written. It's competitive. I've heard that before and not gotten the grant.
Right, sure.
So, I'm holding my breath a little bit. But the catch facility is part of the Infinite Erie playbook. And so many of those are kind of sitting there, and building these capital stacks are not easy. I hear Tina Mengine come on in their show, and you got EMI, and it just takes time.
Well, Kim Thomas has totally admitted it, that the money's out there, but getting the money,
right?
It's like a Seinfeld episode. Supposedly it's there, but trying to grab it is really difficult.
And sometimes the passage of time looks like we're not working on it. So there's nothing that's further from the truth. If community facilities doesn't come in, we're working on an EDA grant, also for $2 million, that we are pointed in that direction.
So you got plan A, plan B, plan C.
Yeah, and we will build this.
So again, bringing this to that young family that believes in Corry.
So and I want to say something.
And they got like 1 minute.
We got
that young family. Where else can you live rural and have your kids have access to this kind of training that is not in school curriculum because it takes 2 years to make a school textbook? We are the cutting edge of getting them into the digital economy careers that are going to let them thrive.
And it's just a cool place to live when that happens. It really is.
And we're fun. I'm sorry. We're fun.
You are fun. One of these days, my wife and I are coming down for First Fridays because we absolutely love that concept and how, and again, how do you market a community to a greater region? It's just, there's a lot of smart people in Corry, if you ask me. And Matt Platz and Chuck Gray are two of them. I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. And yes, all the best in this. Looking forward to this big announcement here on the 25th with, I guess, the congressman's coming, right? And so,
yes.
All right.
Yes, he is. We couldn't be prouder.
We're excited. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.